But we will begin this morning with Jeffrey's new reporting on President Trump, using words like losers and suckers to describe American soldiers, repeatedly disparaging the intelligence of service members and asking that wounded veterans be kept out of military parades, citing 4 unnamed people with firsthand knowledge of the president's comments. Jeffrey writes that when Trump canceled a visit to an American cemetery near Paris in 2018, he blamed rain for the last-minute decision, saying that the helicopter couldn't fly and that the Secret Service wouldn't drive him there. Neither claim was true. Trump rejected the idea of the visit because he feared his hair would become disheveled in the rain and because he did not believe it important to honor American war dead. In a conversation with senior staff members on the morning of the scheduled visit, Trump said, "Why should I go to that cemetery? It's filled with losers." In a separate conversation on the same trip, Trump referred to the more than 1,800 Marines who lost their lives at Belleau Wood as suckers for getting killed. So,
Jeffrey, let's start. There are many more excerpts we're going to read from your incredible reporting. But first, let's talk about the genesis of this article. When did you begin reporting on this, and how did it come together?
Well, like a lot of reporters, I mean, you hear things all the time, and I've probably been gathering string, as they say, on this for some time, but it just came together recently. I've been interested since 2015, actually, as I think you've been, in the president's attitude toward military service. Because like a lot of people, I thought when he disparaged John McCain in 2015, I thought wrongly that would be the end of his campaign, end of Donald Trump's campaign, because the one previously inviolate rule in American politics is you don't mock war heroes. And so I just found his general attitude toward service very novel. And so I've been listening for several years to people talk about it.
Yeah, we had yesterday, Jeffrey, we showed a Military Times poll that showed that for the first time in some time, even though only 16% of active duty military were Democratic, that a plurality supported Joe Biden over Donald Trump. There has been this great friction between military leaders and the president for some time, and you've certainly noted it in your conversations in the past and your interviews in the past with former Defense Secretary James Mattis. Obviously, we have heard General Kelly at times also express those concerns, as well as Admiral Mullins and so many other military leaders. And you get the sense, for anybody that's ever worked in the Pentagon or worked with the Pentagon or worked around the Pentagon, stories like these do not contain themselves inside one office or one wing of that Pentagon. It now is understood throughout the culture, right?
Right. Well, I would say that there's general sort of shock and disbelief that someone. It's not even that the person would articulate views that way. I think there's genuine curiosity about why a person would ever think that way or how a person comes to those thoughts. It's so irregular in a country that values veterans, that values service generally, military service in particular. So there's just a general kind of confusion. Even more than anger, like this disbelief, I would say, in a lot of circles, and you've heard people in those same circles talk about it, and it was just a task to try to bring this down to concrete details.
Jeffrey also reports on President Trump's 2017 Memorial Day visit to Arlington National Cemetery, during which he was accompanied by then Secretary of Homeland Security John Kelly. According to the magazine, Trump was meant on this visit to join John Kelly in paying respects at his son's grave and to comfort the families of other fallen service members. But according to sources with knowledge of this visit, Trump, while standing by Robert Kelly's grave, turned directly to his father and said, "I don't get it. What was in it for them?" Kelly, who declined to comment for this story, initially believed people close to him said that Trump was making a ham-handed reference to the selflessness of America's all-volunteer force. But later, he came to realize that Trump simply does not understand non-transactional life choices. In another example of what Jeffrey calls President Trump's material-focused worldview, he writes, "The president believes that nothing is worth doing without the promise of monetary payback, and that talented people who pursue riches, or who don't pursue riches, are losers." According to eyewitnesses, after a White House briefing given by the then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joe Dunford, Trump turned to aides and said, "That guy is smart. Why did he join the military?"
And so, Jeffrey, this gets to that underlying question. Yes, people reading these quotes will be shocked, even though many believe that they had already seen the low point of Donald Trump's mindset, of his attitude towards America. But people read it and, of course, be shocked. But you said, as you began putting this story together, you were curious what would make somebody this way. And it does. It seems like your conclusion is that, as we always say about Donald Trump's foreign policy, follow the money. If you want to understand why he's close to some countries and not close to others, it has to do with his own personal finances. In this case, though, you say his attitude toward the military also has to do with his financial view of the world. He can't understand why anybody would sacrifice for their country.
I think he's genuinely confused by service. I really do. And, you know, I was thinking about this yesterday. If people had come to me during the presidencies of George W. Bush or Barack Obama and said that the president had said X, Y, and Z about military service, about different factors of the military, you know, I would find it very hard to believe. But I do think that these comments are in line with a general and publicly stated outlook about the importance of material gain, the importance of not being a loser. You know, it's interesting if you look at his language through the years. The world is a very, very stark binary for the president. There are losers and winners, and you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of that line. And he looks at people who choose service over compensation or dangerous service in particular. The idea that you would willingly, I think the volunteer force in particular, kind of confuses him, because why would you ever possibly put your life at risk for, you know, a salary of $64,000 or $88,000? It doesn't make any sense, is my point in worldview. And so it comes out as this kind of, I don't get it, what's in it for them, which is the thing that he said to General Kelly at the graveside. Son.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.